Dear students, so welcome to the environmental science, which is an important subject of studies nowadays. In the previous classes, we have learned about the atmosphere, so its composition, how it is contaminated, and what can we do to make it better, so that we can live a better life. In the last class, we also have discussed about the air pollution, so their causes, their effects, their control measures, and also some others. So in today's class, we will discuss about water pollution because this is also a serious issue nowadays. So in the next class, in the next slide, so we will discuss about the definition of water pollution. So water pollution can be defined as the presence of some foreign substances or impurities like organic, inorganic, radiological, biological in such quantity that it will constitute a health hazard by lowering the quality of the water and making it unfit for use. So wastewater released from the domestic, commercial, municipal or institutional sources are grouped as sewage, and the discharge of water from the various industries is termed as effluents. So first thing we need to notice that if the water is good or bad. So how can we understand the water is not drinkable quality? So it is bad water. So the first point we can understand the water is polluted by their test. So if we test the water, so we will clearly feel it that this water is not a drinking water. So drinking water will not taste bad, and if the water is polluted, so then it will taste bad. Also we can smell it. So if the water is too much polluted, then we can smell some bad odors will come from the lakes or the any other the rivers or ocean or from any other water reservoirs. So we can understand, so these waters are polluted. So we can also see under the water. So if we see that, so if it is a clean water or if it is a like a normal water, then some weeds are normally, so they are growing under the water. But if the water is polluted, so some like weeds will grow faster and some weeds will grow, basically they will die, so they cannot live in this polluted water. So by this way we can also understand that the water is polluted. So if we also check the number of fishes in the polluted water, then we'll see that the fishes are very less, because the normal fishes they cannot live in the polluted water. Whether they can easily like breed and they can increase the number of their families. So in the fresh water, and also if we see that some oil or the grease floating on the water surface, then also we can understand that this water is not good anymore. So this is basically polluted. So this type of oil or grease pollutants are coming from the industries or coming from the ships. So when the seals, like the ships are sailing from one place to another, sometimes they are releasing this kind of pollutants to the water, to like into the sea or river, and so this river water, the sea water are getting polluted. So as we were discussing in the last slide, that this the ships are like releasing this kind of pollutants, and also there are some other reasons for the water pollution, so like soil erosion due to the rains, deposition of the dead bodies or the decaying matters of the plants or animals foods. So they are causing the water pollution. So discharge of the untreated waste or sewage disposal having biodegradable and degradable matter, the dumping of the industrial effluent, the wide variety of inorganic and organic pollutants such as oil, metals, other solvents. So they are also causing the pollution. Some usages of the synthetic organic substances, pesticides, insecticides used for the agriculture purpose, they are also causing a massive water pollution in the rural areas. So like we have different kinds of water pollution. Like some are coming from the chemicals, so they are called chemical pollution. Some are coming from the physical pollution, and some are also like from the biological issues. So chemical pollution like the acidity, basicity, or the dissolved oxygen content. The organic compounds like carbohydrate, fats, polymers, biodegradable waste causes the depletion of the dissolved oxygen. So the dissolved oxygen in the water will be very, very low. Physical pollution include like the color, odors, taste, turbidity, thermal properties due to the impurities. And biological pollution, like mainly caused by the discharge from the feedlots, cow sheds, excretory products from the mammals, wild and domestic animals. So other biological pollution includes like the bacteria, protozoa, viruses, algae. So they are coming from the like the human wastes or from the medicinal purposes. So they all cause water pollution. So here we can make a list so which actually tells us about the sources of the water pollution. So first one is the infectious agent, bacteria, fungi, viruses, and parasites. The second one is the oxygen demanding wastes, the organic waste. The third is the inorganic chemicals, the harmful metal salts. The fourth one is the organic pollutants, the organic other compounds like pesticide or insecticides. So fifth one is the plant nutrients, so the nitrogen compound, so phosphorus compounds, and the sixth one is the radioactive pollutants or the radioactive elements. So they all are the sources of water pollution. Now we will discuss their effects in detail. So infectious diseases are caused by the diverse living agents that replicate in their hosts. The agents that cause the serious this kind of diseases fall into the five groups. The first one, basically viruses, then bacteria, then fungi, protozoa, and helminthes, like the parasitic worms or the large multicellular organisms. Example like the bacteria, viruses, protozoa, parasitic worms. Sources like human and animal waste, pathogenic disposals, and effects like the variety of diseases including vomiting, fever, jaundice, chronic fatigue, cholera, typhoid, tuberculosis, etc. So next is the oxygen demanding wastes. For example, like the animal manure, plant debris. So the organic waste such as animal manure and plant debris that can be decomposed by the aerobic oxygen recurring bacteria. So this degradation consumes dissolved oxygen in water. So dissolved oxygen is the amount of oxygen dissolved in a given quantity of water at particular pressure and temperature. So here from the picture we can see that so this kind of animal wastes are simply dumped into the water which causes the water pollution. The human sources like the sewage, paper mills, food processing and effects like so this kind of pollution also degrade the water quality by depleting the dissolved oxygen of water, and also oxygen consuming organisms like fish and also other aquatic life are hampered due to this water pollution. So the third important factor for the water pollution is the inorganic chemicals. Like some are water soluble and some are water insoluble chemicals like acids, bases, the toxic metals like lead, arsenic, selenium, and sodium chloride. So too much of sodium chloride also is not environmental friendly. So they are also causing pollution. So this sodium chloride is present in the ocean water and fluorides in the soils. So human sources like the surface runoff, industrial effluents, and household cleansers. The effects like the freshwater contamination for drinking and irrigation, skin cancer, the neck damage. So this type of water pollution also harm the aquatic life like the fishes. So there are number of fishes in the water will go down if the water is polluted. So they also lower the crop yields. They also corrode the metals. So the fourth reason of the water pollution is the organic chemicals. For example, like the oil, gasoline, plastics, pesticides, detergents, so they are all actually making the water polluted. So the human sources like industrial effluents, household cleansers, and surface runoffs. Effects like they can damage the nervous system, they can cause some cancers, they can also harm the aquatic life like the fish or the other aquatic animals. So next one is the plant nutrients. For example, like the compound containing nitrate, ammonium, or the phosphate salt. Human sources like sewage, manure, runoff fertilizers, etc. The effects include the excessive growth of the algae or the aquatic plants. So the next one is the reduced dissolved oxygen in water, and so this type of pollutants also can kill fish. So drinking water with excessive levels of nitrates lower the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood, and also if it is extreme, it can also kill the human being. Like the more number of children are also nowadays killed due to these plant nutrients or these toxic chemicals in the rural areas. Next one is the radioactive pollutant. So if the radioactive wastes are simply dumped into the water, into the river or ocean or sea, so these waters also will be polluted, which will also cause the water pollution. So effects like it can also cause like the serious diseases like cancer. It can also damage the ecosystem. It can cause the harmful effects of the living organisms. Depending on the sources of these water pollutants, we can divide them into two categories. So some are point sources and some are non-point sources. So point sources, like where we can understand from where so these pollutants are coming. Let's say that we know that the chemical hubs, or we know that some industrial areas, so they are releasing some chemicals. So these chemicals are going to the water, are going are dumped into the sea or dumped into the ocean. So these waters, so this kind of pollutants are making the water basically polluted. So we know these sources. So when we know the sources, then these sources will be called point sources. So it is easy to control these point sources, but some sources like the families or the houses in the urban areas, so we cannot really understand which house is releasing some pollutants. So this type of sources will be called non-point sources. So this is a nice depiction of the point sources and non-point sources. We can understand that. So here, so these point sources like these factories or these wastewater treatment plants, so they are basically like purifying the water, or they are like synthesizing new like new chemicals or new things, and they are releasing the waste, so which are basically causing the water pollution. So these sources we can easily identify. So these are point sources. But the sources, let's say the rural homes or the urban streets or suburban development areas, so these areas we cannot really identify. So what are the actual source of this water pollution? So these sources will be called non-point sources. So how can we really control the water pollution? So we need to make some new rules, or if we cannot, then we need to ask our government or the state government or the central government to make strict rules so that everyone can follow these rules to make the environment cleaner. So that we can clean our environment, so that we can clean our river water, or we can clean our pond water, lake water cleaner, so that the life can be balanced, the ecosystem can be balanced. The water pollution should be controlled by the state or the central government. The next is the scientific method should be followed for the pollution control. The industrial effluents should be recycled. We should not just dump our waste into the water. So we should clean them, and then we can like collect all these waste, so that we can process our waste in a scientific way, so that our environment is not polluted. So the discharge of the effluents in the water bodies should be stopped. So we should not just discharge our effluents, discharge our waste into the water bodies. So follow a proper, efficient, and effective water management strategies. So we need more enforcement laws, more water pollution control acts, and standard practice, so that we can keep our environment clean. The water quality monitoring at regular levels at the both domestic and industrial waste water treatment plants should be made. So next is the deforestation should be stopped. We should not just cut trees. We should, even rather we should plant more trees. So we should make a campaign that save trees, save life. The domestic wastewater may be used for the gardening. So we should create more public awareness, and also the advanced treatment for the removal of nitrates and phosphates prevent eutrophication. So all these things we have to like carefully make, so that we can make our environment clean. So here are some reference books you can read for more knowledge. So the first one is from the Ravi Shankar Verma, Environmental Solution. The next one is the Elements of Environmental Pollution Control, and the third one is the Environmental Pollution and Control by Gopal Dutt. So these are the like important books you can read, so you can know more about this. pollutions. So thank you all for joining the class. So if you have any question, don't hesitate to ask me. So you can also write the email to my email address. So here is the email address is given in this slide. So thank you again. See you in the next class.